Good evening. Welcome to TVB News. The amber rainstorm signal is in force. The observatory says a broad trough of low pressure will continue to bring unsettled weather to the territory in the following couple of days. Mimosa Ngai reports.
An overcast sky. After several days of scorching heat, Hong Kong manages to cool down thanks to some strong showers. At 10 a.m., the observatory issued the amber rainstorm signal. In Central, some passers-by take shelter under a cover. Weather authorities say that a broad trough of low pressure is bringing showers and thunderstorms to the coast of Guangdong. Some areas recorded more than 20 millimeters of rainfall in the morning, whereas the precipitation exceeded 40 millimeters in parts of Sai Kung and the northern part of the New Territories. The amber signal stayed for 90 minutes in the morning and was issued again early this evening. Looking ahead, the observatory forecasts heavy showers and squally thunderstorms will continue to affect Hong Kong until Tuesday and reminds residents to be aware of the changing weather before heading out. Extreme weather is becoming more apparent around the world. According to the World Meteorological Organization, an El Nino effect is likely to happen between June and August. A meteorologist says the El Nino effect could lead to fewer but stronger typhoons to Hong Kong this year.
Tropical cyclones developed in warm sea surface temperatures, right? So when the pool of warm water shifted to the east, then most of the tropical cyclones were developed in the east, which is further away from Hong Kong. But if a typhoon comes close to Hong Kong, then it has a longer time and longer sea track for development.
Leung says those strong typhoons could even become super typhoons. Mimosa Ngai, TVB News.
The Food and Environmental Hygiene Department says more than 2,000 restaurants have applied for a dog admission permit. The application's deadline is Monday. The department launched the application in mid-May. The scheme allows restaurants that don't provide hot pot and barbecue with an area bigger than 20 square meters to apply. In the first phase of the scheme, the department will only grant licenses to 1,000 restaurants. Authorities say they will use a ballot system for the license allocation because the application has exceeded the original quota. The first batch of licenses are expected to be granted in mid-June. And baby Danny has finally got his birth certificate. His parents initially refused to submit DNA samples to prove their blood ties when the Immigration Department requested them to obtain his birth certificate. They gave their DNA sample eventually. The couple was earlier suspected of neglecting their child and were arrested by the police. Danny's mother gave birth at home rather than in a hospital. The baby was sent to a shelter and placed under the care of the Social Welfare Department. In an interview with TVB News today, the boy's father, Mr. Kwan, said they will meet with the department next week. It is understood that officials will assess whether it is suitable for the parents to take care of the baby. Iran and the US again shot missiles at each other's military bases in the latest episode of the Middle East war. There are no report of casualties from either side. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump says the war with Iran will end one way or the other. Trump makes his statement while rallying for the Republican Party in Wisconsin ahead of the midterm elections.
One way or the other is finished. It's either finished with a piece of paper or finished a more difficult way, although you could say a much easier way. As you know, with Iran, they have no navy. 159 ships in 4 days. Even Ken is impressed by that. 4 days, 159 ships at the bottom of the sea. Not that we like that, but that's the way it is. And the blockade is unbelievable. There's never been a blockade like that. The Navy is... We have the greatest military anywhere in the world. There's never been a military like it.
Several Lebanese soldiers, including an officer, were killed in an Israeli strike targeting their military vehicle on the Hadali Nabatir Road in South Lebanon, the Lebanese army said on Saturday. The Lebanese army has historically avoided involvement in confrontations between Hezbollah and Israel and has not engaged Israel in the current conflict. This as Israel and Lebanon has agreed to renew a ceasefire with the aim of continuing talks later this month. Tracy Furness reports.
Plumes of smoke from Israeli shelling over the village of Kfar Tebnit. Israel and Lebanon have agreed to renew their shaky ceasefire with the aim of continuing talks later this month for a comprehensive peace deal. The US brokered agreement announced in a joint statement by the US, Israel and Lebanon on Wednesday came after Israeli forces made their deepest incursion into Lebanon in more than a quarter century. The fighting in Lebanon, where Israeli forces have seized large swaths of the south, threatened efforts to end the Iran war and reopen the Strait of Hormuz. This as the United Nations remembered the life of a Serbian peacekeeper who was killed by a mortar strike in Lebanon this week.
Yesterday, we also announced that yet another peacekeeper was killed in Lebanon. Sergeant Milovan Jovanovic from Serbia was the 7th UNIFIL peacekeepers killed since March 2026 in Lebanon. He would have turned 37 tomorrow. He died from critical injuries sustained when mortar shells struck his position. All these attacks against peacekeepers are unacceptable.
Lacroix also called on member states to increase funding for peacekeeping missions.
The work of our peacekeepers matter. It is worth defending. Peacekeeping is worth the investment. I know we all like data, so here are some numbers to illustrate the point. At this moment, UN peacekeeping's entire budget, which is $5.38 billion, $5.38 billion, that's the budget for 1 year. The same amount is spent in 16 hours, 1/6, on global military spending, so it's not even a full day. And if you want another measure, the budget of peacekeeping for 1 year for all our operation is less than half the amount it costs to organize the upcoming FIFA World Cup.
Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Romanian authorities say a Ukrainian maritime drone that was being used in the country's war against Russia exploded Friday at a Black Sea port in Romania. No one was hurt. The drone that self-detonated in the port of Constanța exploded at around 10:30 a.m. after the area had been secured and isolated by the Romanian Intelligence Service, Coast Guard and the Defense Ministry. Romanian President Nicolae said in a statement online that the Ukrainian forces lost control of the assets as a result of electronic warfare actions by Russian, likely jamming, and that the drone's incursion into Romanian sovereign space is a direct consequence of the war waged by Russia against Ukraine. Vice President Han Zheng meets with Russian President Vladimir Putin on the sidelines of the 29th St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, with pledges to consolidate political mutual trust and expand practical cooperation between the two countries. Hailing their relations are at an unprecedented high level, Putin notes his country is committed to advancing exchanges in various fields, while unswervingly contributing stability to global peace and development through the certainty of Russia-China ties. Han says China stands ready to work with Russia to well implement the new consensus reached by the two heads of state during Beijing talks and strengthen international coordination to foster a more just and equitable global governance system. During his address at the forum, Han highlights the China proposed Global Governance Initiative, which has won international support. The number of confirmed Ebola cases in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, or DRC, has risen to 452, including 82 deaths, according to the country's health ministry. It reports 71 new confirmed cases on June the 4th, including 21 deaths in Ituri and North Kivu provinces, a sign of rapid and continuing community transmission amid the outbreak caused by the Bundibugyo strain of the virus. Tracy Furness has more.
Leah Masika was on the verge of tears as she thought of her valuable consignment of plantain stuck in a long convoy of trucks on both sides of the Uganda-Congo border. Her cargo destined for Uganda was starting to leak water and would go bad within hours if there was no movement. When they closed the border, we were told that trucks would continue operating, so we ordered plantain from DRC. They brought them and offloaded across the border, and when we tried crossing, they blocked us. All our goods are now there rotting. The Ugandan trader was awaiting clearance from authorities for trucks to pass through the Mpondwe border post on Thursday after they were prevented from entering or leaving Uganda as part of escalating measures to prevent cross-border Ebola contagion. This Mpondwe resident said, "Ebola has destroyed our work. We were told that trucks could go through, but people were barred from crossing." A surveillance officer said they were trying a systematic way to combat cross-infection.
The border on Mpondwe has porous points about 32, just across board. So it is easy for the citizens, the Congolese citizens, to get in here, and that's what we are trying to deal with. So for now, we hope after our district task force, we can be able to have a more restricted way on how both the cargo or the trucks get into the country in a systematic way where we don't have cross-infection.
In the town of Mongwalu, at the center of eastern Congo's Ebola outbreak, health authorities have faced intense resistance from the population. A tent set up to serve as an Ebola treatment center was burnt by the population, and a hospital was later attacked when young people demanded the bodies of their kin. The Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said the first cases were reported in late April in Bunia, the capital of Ituri province, and the nearby Mongwalu Health Zone, a high-traffic mining area. However, officials say they are not certain of the source, and the outbreak may have started weeks earlier and gone unnoticed. The disease spread for weeks before being detected, and authorities tested for more common Ebola virus, not the Bundibugyo virus responsible for this outbreak. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
An infectious disease expert has urged the public to receive vaccination before the end of June to protect themselves against a potential summer flu season. This comes after the influenza activity in Hong Kong has increased recently. The Centre for Health Protection on Friday said it is investigating a severe influenza B infection case. A 17-year-old boy is in critical condition after contracting influenza B. He was first sent to Chung Kwan O Hospital on May the 27th because of a fever, seizure and vomiting. Speaking to the media, Ivan Hong, the University of Hong Kong's head of Infectious Disease Division, says more elderly and younger patients are admitted to hospitals in recent weeks.
It's not yet the so-called the summer peak. I think we really have to wait for a few more weeks to see how the trend play out. But as said, I do recommend anyone who have not been vaccinated to get vaccinated before the end of June, because the vaccine is going to expire by the end of June.
Chief Executive John Lee returned to Hong Kong after concluding his visit to Central Asia. Lee, along with officials and a delegation from the business and academic sectors, arrived back in Hong Kong this afternoon. This 70-member delegation visited Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. During the visit, 96 cooperation agreements and memorandums of understanding were signed with local technology and academic institutions, involving a total value of over $1.65 billion. Tashkent is the capital of Uzbekistan, where Soviet-style buildings mingle with historical structures. With the anticipated start of direct flights between Hong Kong and Tashkent, Uzbek travel agencies hope this will boost tourism for this iconic city. Tracy Furness reports.
Azure domes with unique patterns, the Islamic Civilization Center located in Tashkent was completed this March, showcasing traditional Islamic aesthetics illuminated by technology. The museum's collection of the Samarkand Quran is one of the world's oldest surviving manuscripts. A mainland tourist said their distinctive Islamic style and patterns are beautiful and quite different from those in China. Distinctive architecture is everywhere, including metro stations. Tashkent boasts the oldest metro line in Central Asia, a legacy of the Soviet era. Also built during the Soviet era is this 75-meter-high television tower, which is also an observation tower. It allows tourists to see Tashkent's tradition as well as technology. Uzbekistan has been vigorously developing tourism in recent years, including relaxing visa requirements and improving transportation infrastructure. Last year, it received over 10 million foreign tourists, an increase of 46% year on year. With extended visa-free travel and direct flights on the way, local travel agencies believe this will boost tourism from Hong Kong.
You extend that visa-free to up to 1 month, which would be a big plus because 10 days is not enough usually for it. And also if the direct flights with Tashkent also happen at some point, it also makes it very easy for the travel groups to arrive in Uzbekistan.
This Hong Kong travel agency started operating tours to Central Asia 20 years ago and recently expanded to Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. Freedy Yip Hing Ning of the Hong Kong Travel Agent Owners Association said it wasn't until the Middle East wars began that they were reminded to invest resources in developing this route. He said the most important factor when travelling is safety, and Central Asia is very safe. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.